Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for being here again with us and tuning into my podcast. Daniela is someone that I work with and someone that I get inspired by and someone that is really adding so much value to other leaders. And I can't wait to talk about a few different things today. It will be all about awareness, bringing awareness where we are at, because we have end of the year. And as you know, we talk a lot about goal setting, but what about evaluation and understanding where we are at? And we will try to talk about that, what can be the next, how we can plan for the next step, and how we can actually achieve that through different mindset or through different thinking and awareness about what our goals are. And look, let's see where we go. Let's just open up the conversation and welcome to my podcast, Daniela.
Why, thank you, Alex. I really appreciate you having me here. It's such a pleasure. We've been working with each other for several months now, and likewise, I'm just as inspired by and learning a lot so much from working with someone like yourself. I think that we do gel in so many different areas, but obviously have our unique sides and styles as well, which offers a wonderful spectrum of, dare I say, wisdom to the clients that we work with. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start. When you think about evaluation, or when we think about, our amazing 2023, or, if somebody's listening in 2024, if we are really thinking about creating the best year, where we should start?
Well, I think the best place to start is right where we are here and just taking some time. Let's take some time. So if you're actually listening to this, and not if you're driving, by the way, but if you are listening to this, maybe on the train, at work, you're sitting down, just close your eyes and just reflect for a few minutes or moments just about the last 12 months. And let's be really honest. Did you achieve everything that you had hoped you had achieved? Now, maybe if you'd set your goals to an inspirational level, maybe you achieved some of them, maybe you didn't achieve all of them. And I think it's really important to actually maybe reflect and maybe what some of those causes might be. Now, sure enough, people get sick and we have accidents or things go sideways and we have to change, but just start to see where can you spotlight any awareness in your own sense of being as a leader that maybe you could have dialed in a little bit deeper towards accomplishing those goals in the last 12 months. So stopping and really just sort of recollecting and bringing awareness that, and it's not just negative. Let's also look at the things that we did that were actually really powerful, that moved the needle in the direction that actually got us the results that became very, very important in the last 12 months. I think that's the best place to start.
Yeah. I love actually evaluation that I do actually something that I used to do and I do is still now, because it really, really helped me to change the thinking about the goals and achievements. Because what we naturally do, we see the negative things easily. We notice negative things. We notice what we didn't do. We notice what we are missing easily. But what we are not doing usually is really acknowledge ourselves for what we achieve, how we move forward, because sometimes small things, small steps in our career or in business, or in our personal growth, small steps really, really can change that massive results after 12 months. Maybe we change the routine. Maybe we change the way how we wake up, what we do in the morning, maybe we do something more for ourselves. Don't forget that those small things, even doing something for yourself, are already helping you to achieve even more. Because, sometimes we are in the doing spiral and we're just doing, and we don't pause and check what actually I achieved, last month. What did I do well? And I do the exercise of like every month, I just, get back to my month and looking at what are those 10 things or small steps that I can acknowledge myself for, or I'm proud of. And this is not only about me, but it's also about business and how we move forward. There are small things like, meet someone, partnering with someone, starting to talk about the idea that can happen next year, or even call someone, or having, great transformation with client, anything that happens during that year or month. I really try to write down, because I usually forget about those things. I don't know how about you, but I really forget what I achieved. And sometimes I put myself at the beginning of the month, I have 3 goals. End of the month, I'm starting my evaluation with the thought, I don't think I achieved anything this month. I need to go back to my monthly goal. And I go back to my monthly goal and I realize that all 3 goals I achieved, I finished. I hit the goals. I didn't even see that. It's so amazing how our thinking works.
I think having that reflection and creating that acknowledgement for what you have achieved, and it's not all about achievement. I know that you share this same sentiment with me, Alex, but like I totally believe this, and all doing comes from a state of being.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if that's the first time, if you're listening to this, and this is the first time you've heard that, I'll say it again and just see if you can remember it. All doing comes from a state of being. And so it's not about what I achieved, it's who did I become? How was I in my state every day? And this is something, so conversely to you, I don't necessarily look back at my goals that I achieved. I have a different strategy. I write down 6 things every day in my list, and I accomplish them, and they go on the next day's list until they're done. And so that's my filter. I make sure that I get everything that I intend to do get done. But I make sure I do spend a lot of time reflecting on what my state of being was while I was doing things. Because I want to have fun while I'm doing things. I want to be a leader that actually shares my highest qualities. I don't want to be a command and controller. I want to be a trust and inspirer. I want to be a conscious leader, you know, and so that's part of my own personal development, because I want to grow my team, but I can't grow my team unless I grow myself. So, you know, it's really bringing it back to that place of being.
Yeah, I love what you share, because it's actually going well with a framework that we work a lot, and it's be, do, have, because a lot of people are doing it's opposite. Have, do, be. That means they think they need to own and have something first, and therefore they will be happy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it's actually other way around. Be who you want to be first. Be the person that have already what you want. Because if you want to be great leader and you're waiting for the position to take you there, then you're not going to be great leader ever. If you want to be great leader, start today and be great leader today, even though you don't have position.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's be the person, be what you want to have, because it's so easy to start chasing something in your life, you know, and have car, have the vacation, have position, have this great team, and we're still waiting for something. And you know, after that, when I will have it, I will become this. I will become happy. I will become fulfilled. I will be able to do something. No, you already have all what you need for being that person. And I think that is just such a great frame, be, do, have, because first be that person, do the work, do the steps, and after that you will have what you want.
Yeah, well, I think it really works out, and the way that we coach, actually, Alex, and you know, we work very much with, say, you know, it all starts in the mind.
Yeah.
You know, and then it moves into the emotion. That's energy in motion. That's the doing. That's energy moving. And then the having, it's the results. It's like whether that comes through the behavior and it turns into whether it's achieving goals, you know, higher performance, better relations in the team, whatever that is. But that's the tangible side of it. That's the having. But the state of being is at least being calm and quiet in yourself, consciously choosing what it is that you want or how you are going to behave and act, having that emotional response which moves you through time and space. So you can sort of see how these things all work together. But I think one thing that I want to touch on, which I want to debunk, and I know a lot of people, potentially a lot of the listeners may already know this, but I think it bears repeating, and that is, you do not need permission to be a leader. Being a leader is a state of being, okay? It's a choice that you make. And when we make a choice, when we make a conscious choice about something, it's almost as if the power within that thought becomes so precise and direct and sharp that it has almost like a conscious command to it. And so don't wait till you have the position. Don't wait till you have a team. Don't wait until you get to a certain point before you consider yourself a leader. Make a conscious choice that you're going to be a leader, even if it's just of this, even if all you can lead is yourself and maybe your dog, I don't know. But if that's all you are to lead, that's fine. That is more than enough, because we can't expect to lead anybody unless we can lead ourselves.
Yeah.
So whether you're a solopreneur out there, or whether you're working in a team within an organization, whether you're the CEO or whether you're the gardener, you can still be a leader. It's a state of being. And a little secret here, I think that leadership is actually like a corporate world for self-mastery. Don't tell anyone, but I'm pretty sure that the path of a leader is actually that path of professional and personal development that doesn't just involve you, but those around you. I think that's a very important distinction to make.
Yeah. I love that, and I love the way you shared as well, because I just finished the communication masterclass, and I loved what people were sharing. I loved that actually leaders are getting that. Like everyone who is even not leading the company, but or leading the teams, but there was a lot of people that are leading the team, but everybody got it. They knew when I asked, what is actually communication? Where actually is that all starting? And all the leadership, it's actually really starting with how we think about ourselves, how we are being, and how we are actually creating emotions based on those thinking and thoughts, our stories. And it was such a beautiful kind of, I don't know if I call it vibe or behavior in the room, but it was so nice to hear that people know there is more into that. It's not about Googling the stuff and realize that, this body position or body language is positive and this is negative. It's not about that. It's about understanding. And it is exactly that self-mastery and mastering or understanding others. Because when we start to understand others or master, our thinking, emotions, and behavior, when we want to collect them, put it into 3 components that we teach people, is just so important, because you can help other people to understand that, you can change your story, you can change your thinking and emotional state. It's your responsibility, and you can actually be happy all the time. That is, it's not even that. I believe leadership is exactly what you said. It's actually the state of being, or is being. It's constant being. It's not that I'm a leader in the work and only when I come to work, I'm that leader that I want to be. And I come home, or if I'm with a friend and I'm a different person, that's not about that. It's lifestyle.
Yeah.
Leadership is really decision you make.
It's a decision. Yeah, you're right. It's a decision you make, but it's a decision. And like, let's just break it down for those who might be listening that maybe going, okay, cool. Like I'm a stay-at-home mum, and I want to, embody my leadership qualities, because we've been taught that, like in the corporate world, that, you're only a leader if you're a leader of a team, or if you've got your leadership position and HR sends you on like a little program to induct you in what it means to be a leader. And that's great. But there've been leaders on our planet for thousands of millions of years, right? So
you have leaders in the team, within the team. They don't need to have position. Yeah.
But essentially, a leader needs to know a few things, right? So you need to know where you're going, okay? Because if you're leading, you need to be clear about what you're leading towards. You don't have to have all the answers, by the way, but you need to be clear and make a choice about where you're going. Because without that clarity, others won't follow you. You're not really a leader unless others are willing to follow you. They don't have to follow you, but if they're willing to follow you, right, then that's when you're leading. Okay, you start with yourself clearly, of course, and whether it's you want to lead yourself out of a bad relationship, whether you want to lead yourself out of a toxic job, or whatever that is, it's about going, this is my choice. These are the action steps I need to take, and I'm going to take those, okay? But secondly, it's also about having that self-awareness, and because you've got to take responsibility. It's about leaders are the first to go. They go first, and they finish last, So they go first, they make sure that they lead the way. It's like, I'm going to put my hand up, I'm going to volunteer for this role because I want to see it done right, but I'm going to stay behind, make sure that everyone crosses the finishing line, and I'll go behind. Now, it doesn't have to be that way. That's an ideal, but generally leaders take that sort of responsibility and want to make sure and show that empathy and care. So it's about clarity and decision making, and really prioritizing and those relationships with others.
I will add is about communication. We talk about it today. It's so important. I think when we talk about awareness, right? It's awareness where we are at, but also what is your style, how we communicate. And there's a lot of things that we do and we don't know how they influence others. We don't have any idea. And I think being in that position, maybe that we never really think about, that how our words, decision making, or our body language, or what we say, how we say it, or facial expressions, actually how they influence other people. Maybe our, style of humor, sense of humor is different at every person, but how that is influencing others. We never really thought about that. And I think when we think about leaders, then maybe start there. Even if you are, friend or homestay mom, or you just starting business, it is so important to start at that stage. Okay, how am I influencing people? Maybe that's my start point. Maybe I don't know about that yet. Maybe I don't have any idea how am I influencing people on daily basis, because that's where leadership starts, because we are influencing other people all the time, nonstop. And we speak with our clients, we speak with customers, with family, with friends, with our team. We are influencing all the time people around us, and we don't learn about that. That is definitely probably starting point for me, like as a leader. Like this was something that really, really helped me so much to learn about how I influence people with my behavior.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, like when you find that you're in a leadership position, there is a natural power dynamic. And I know we don't like to talk about having power over people, but just in the same way, when you go to see a doctor is there to deliver to you, you're there to receive. And so leaders are in that sort of that outpouring because they're leading the way. And so there is that natural shift in dynamic. So you're right, we do naturally influence people, and it's more impactful because it's delivered with more impact because people are open to receiving what we're there to deliver. So there needs to be some accountability and responsibility there. And that's not about whipping people into shape or anything, but it's about being ethical in the way that we actually behave and the way that we actually communicate.
Can you feel the power of leadership, like the power of responsibility we all have? This is just so massive, because there's another thing when you mentioned that we are influencing people now, when we have even team of two, or if we have friends, or, I don't know, we go to school, we are influencing people and we don't realize that we are changing and having impact on not only on them, but we influence them that much that they change the impact on other people. That means if we can positively influence someone, we can basically influence other 100 people, 100 or 200 people, because we will actually influence positively one person, but that one person has, circle of people, or that one person has community. And I think that's where we kind of really stop thinking about these things. And naturally, we are influencing communities. We are influencing people around those people. And that's why I think we have such a responsibility, all of us. We don't need to lead a team, but all of us on the planet.
Well, that's why conscious leadership is really a concept that doesn't necessarily have to exist within a corporation or an organization. It literally can be, I could be a stay-at-home dad, and sometimes I am. I've got my own kids, and sometimes I have to run around and take them to T-ball and school community and this, that, and the other. And, and here's the thing. Sometimes I'll be a leader in those environments, and other times I'll be a follower. So it's also having that consciousness to realize, where is the dynamic? Where am I? Am I here to receive, or am I here to step up and give? Or do they need someone to step up here? Or do we more of us need to sort of step back? If I go to the school, I want to be a leader to my child, but I'm there to be a follower to the teacher. At the same time, I'll question the teacher and we'll have conversations. But it's about having that understanding, and it's really about that having that awareness to know how to relate consciously. And once you can master that skill, leadership becomes easy. It becomes a sense. You develop very loyal team members. People want to give their best. You become very profound in the way that you create impact, because it becomes exponential. And one, I was going to talk about this, and one of the ways that we can actually do this as leaders is to focus on like the idea of leaving an impression of increase wherever we go. And that's actually about revealing the qualities that we love about people. And I don't mean this in a cheesy kind of like way that's artificial. I mean, like genuinely like reaching in and showing somebody what you very much value about their state of being, their essence, and how that actually creates a vibration, that becomes elevated. And when you start acting in this way, in a very conscious way, when you realize that this is the mode that you're working, it becomes very graceful. And when we think about the word grace, what's grace? Grace is almost like an elevated evolution of a state of being where things are very subtle and very smooth and gentle, but they have deep, enduring impact, you know. And so I love working with people who are tuning into this idea of conscious leadership. I think it's an amazing thing for the 21st century and beyond.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I like when you talk about it from perspective of essence, or the words that you use. Sometimes they are really foreign to organizations or corporations, and I think from that perspective is in simple words to really understand the behaviors and attitudes and start to really talk about those and having open conversations all the time about behaviors, about for example, about the line, below the line, like what is actually acceptable, what is actually great behavior and attitude and thinking and collective thinking that is actually moving our organization forward and moving us towards the goals, and what is not. That means when we start to really identify where we are at and what is great for our goals and what is not, we can have all the time these discussions in different level, on the different level. It is, coming to that point that we can talk about cognitive or thinking level. We can talk about emotional and behavioral level, because we can now measure it, at least with understanding what is above the line, below the line, what is pausing us, stopping us, and what is actually moving us forward. I think all just that concept can be already bringing measurements into organizations, because as leaders, it's great. We can, understand where we are at, where we're moving, but it's so hard for leaders to translate it into team and make them understand. And I think that's where we can really step into small frameworks and like we have frameworks for measuring behaviors. We have frameworks for understanding and identifying those behaviors and really having that conversation with the team. It will help so much, because those conversations are not very common, and it wasn't education anywhere. Emotional intelligence or emotional fitness wasn't really education in organization a lot. No. It all happens last 3 years a lot. Psychological safety didn't really existed in that space the way how it exists now. It's all about helping people to feel safe, feel heard and seen and understood. But how, when we don't know how? Nobody told us how when we started a leadership position. Nobody told us that we need to focus on people, and everybody told us we need to be friends and we need to create relationships. But it's not about being friends with everyone. It's about respect, trust. It's about having these common grounds, with your team, and create collective thinking that is actually very similar. Where it's moving us towards one thing or towards a few goals, but it's moving us same direction. And I think that's where we are so far away from that, but we are slowly getting. I can see when leaders start to talk about that and start to talk about thinking, and everything starts with thoughts and emotions. And I was like, yes, we are there. We are moving, and we are closer. That means more and more leaders really understand that. And what it actually does, or what that do for them, is really moving them forward and having this high performing culture and innovations, and is really moving them forward as a team. What is really, really exciting. I think that's just such a massive topic. We can go into all directions. I know we are kind of like going everywhere.
No, I think to sort of sum it up, though, it's really about making that decision that you're going to actually take leadership as it is a responsibility. Making decisions as a leader is a very important skill, but essentially choosing to be a better leader means choosing to be willing to go first in bringing out the best in your people. And yes, it's not necessarily about being friends, but you're in a position to reveal the qualities, higher qualities, and maybe at times the lower qualities, the qualities that are below the line, right? And just revealing those, but in a way that's very, very conscious. And obviously, this is something that we work with. Alex and I do teach a lot of these things. So if you're wondering, like, how the hell do I even learn these sort of things? It's okay, and it's not just us. I'm sure there are other people in the world that do this, but learning how to actually consciously articulate your thoughts into a current of energy, because let's face it, the way you feel is infectious. If you've ever been in a room with people who are all in a very sullen mood, you can feel it. It's palpable, right? If you're around people who are really excited, you can't help but get excited.
Oh, you catch it. Yeah, you catch it.
I'm not into horse racing at all, but every time the Melbourne Cup comes on, I'm yelling at the TV. Like, how does that happen, right? So like, emotions are sticky, and they penetrate us, and we feel them. we're like magnets for them. So it's about becoming aware of how my thoughts are articulating my emotions. And because people are receptive, because you might be in a leadership position, then being responsible for that emotional output. And I was actually in a meeting earlier today, Alex, and I was explaining to the gentleman, and this is a guy who is the CEO of a company that I think is turning over about 25 million a year. I think you mentioned, and he was asking me, he came out of a really like sticky situation, a divorce and all that. And I just wanted to reveal some awareness to him that he's probably not processed a lot of the emotions that are going on with that. And I wanted to show him how, if he's not careful, he'll bring that in with his team. And I won't go into the depths of the models that we use, but ultimately, when we bring our trauma into our team, that drama and trauma plays out within the team because they're receptive to it. And it's very important time to actually create psychological safety, to actually do the awareness work, to realize and to do the leadership training that it takes to create a truly like self-organizing interdependent team that can actually perform. So this is not just an isolated thing. We're hearing it all over the place.
Yeah, I would like to add to that, because what happens, I think so many times we kind of forget that leaders are human beings. And also when they going through trauma, they don't need to feel, or maybe just, just a little bit of wisdom for leaders. We don't need to be the strongest person in the room all the time. We don't need to be, the Terminators and I don't know, whatever it was movies before. We don't need to have that all together, but we need to be able to communicate it the right way. And I think so many times actually when we're going through hard time, it really helps when we know how to communicate it with our team. It's really good help actually, because it can move team together more closer, because they realize that nobody really walking on a planet untouchable, and with everything together and everything positive. We all going through traumas, we all going through some life stages, and we all have situation that is happening at home that's not disconnected from us. And it was, COVID or crisis that we had last 3 years. We know that a lot of leaders, they try to hold it all together and they try to pretend they're fine, but they haven't been fine. And because they were suppressing so much, they are even more not fine right now. And it's really playing big role in mental health. And look, I don't want to apologize anyone, like we all have this, but it's really wrong that we don't know how to talk about that, and we don't know how to use it the way that I heal myself, but also I help my team maybe to open up more. I mean, all these, hard times can actually really help you to create that psychological safety.
Oh, yeah.
Even more. And I think that's when I feel like a lot of leaders have really big and hard role, because we were raised by all these theories and philosophies. Leader is the one that has to have that together. Leader is the one that needs to be strongest and needs to be the best and smartest and all that. It's not happening. We now know that leadership is actually totally different, because leadership is about having the best people around. You don't need to be the best. You have the best people around, and you can actually utilize their skills, and you can create that safety and mental agility, high mental agility, that actually people can open up, innovate, and drive amazing results, and amazing performance. It's just because you are able to facilitate that. But when you try to have all together all the time and pretend that you're okay when you are not okay, it's not really great facilitation, because it will come up and people can feel it. And, one day it will explode like a big, big bomb.
Yeah, well, either it'll explode them, but what happens is,
or it will be internal, of course.
But you're modeling virtues which don't really serve. So as a leader, we are, whatever we model, people are generally going to pick up. If you want to improve your team, the best thing you can do is improve yourself. Okay, that's just a freebie out there. Whatever you model, your team will pick up on. Maybe not directly straight away, but as long as it's consistent. So if you are opening up in a safe way, you're teaching others to open up. And when people open up and we realize that we're just human beings, and it's actually okay to be a human. Don't get me wrong, there are drama llamas out there. There are people that will play the victim card. But if we have that psychological safety, we can reach out and I can say, hey, Alex, look, I love you. Or not, maybe if I'm in a corporate environment, I wouldn't say that, but I care about you, a lot. I do realize you're going through a tough time, but you've been going on about this for a while now. Do you think maybe you could sort of, we could move through this together? I can help you, I can support you, but
Yeah.
we can actually call each other out, and that's moving more into that coaching style of leadership,
Yeah.
rather than that commanding style of leadership. So
Yeah.
realizing we're a human, teaching people the virtues that we want to see by actually modeling them is a very important factor, because it pulls people together. But people aren't going to, as you say, because you were talking about innovation, if there's no psychological safety, there's what I call there's a trust gap.
Yeah.
And there's like a canyon. You're on one side of the canyon, they're on the other. They don't want to cross the canyon, right? Because there's a fear they're going to fall in. Okay,
Emotions
so
are not right. Yeah.
People hold back. They might have huge potential. You hired them for a reason, or they're in the team for a reason. People generally have more wisdom and genius inside of them than we will ever understand. Okay, but our job as leaders is to find out, how do we release that? How do I release that genius? Okay, well, you do that through creating safety, through building trust, and you do that by modeling those virtues through your own vulnerability and through your own responsibility. It sounded like I went on a bit of a crusade there, but I was just very passionate about that topic.
I love what you say, because it's all about that safety or psychological safety. When we have that, and it's really high, when we have the safety, mental agility, or whatever we want to call it, when we have that, trust within the team, we can really achieve a lot, and performance is very high. That means, from perspective of simplifying that, yes, having that openness, vulnerability, and being a human being, it's really helping to create more of that psychological safety, because people know they can share and it's safe. Of course, when you don't model the virtue, and maybe you scream at someone when someone open up, they will never open up, and no one from the team will open up, and we will have really high stressful environment. That means it's not going to be very great. And there's a lot of things, and the environment is very sensitive as well. It can change very fast, when we actually don't model the virtues, and we don't actually, or we say things the way they are not really serving, but that they are hurting people, we can really fast change that environment. And that's why I think another step forwards to talk about responsibility in leadership. We have that responsibility, and it's so important to really apply that and go to that positions with that feeling, non-stop feeling of, yes, I have responsibility. Everything I do, people watch me, people observing me, people are there, I'm influencing them. That is not changing, that is there. We influencing people, even we don't want, we do. I mean, just to really have that understanding again, and just confirm again that, yes, we have big responsibility. That means it's good to know about this, how to do it the best way, how to create that psychological safety, how to create that, great, trustful environment. I think, like, why that is not norm, that we don't learn these things, like when you're going to job and you learn all technical skills, everything, they are still missing skills, and that soft skills, people skill, they're still not there. Like, I mean, in that amount of time and training and I don't know, minutes of the training, or when you think about, the length of the training, they're still not there that much. They're just kind of like a side, like, additional part, here is the communication training.
No, and my theory behind that is because in the Western world, we are very much obsessed with the objective reality.
Task KPIs.
Tangible results, tangible results, rather than the actual interpersonal skills, And so we're seeing a shift in that. We're seeing you could say a reappropriation of like the polarities as far as like what they're valued at.
Definitely, I agree.
We're seeing younger generations who actually, want to live lives full of meaning, and like, rather than just chasing the money. Like, there was a study done at Yale University in the States, and they worked out basically through this study that once you earn over 75,000 USD per year, right? Of course, you get a bit of a spike because you can buy a better holiday or upgrade your car and all that. But your level of happiness and like, what life, the meaningful life that you live, comes back to that baseline. And 75,000 USD, maybe here in Australia, that's like 110, 120,000, right? Now that's a lot of money to some, but it's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, right? It's totally achievable, no matter where you are in your life, to change yourself in a way that you can earn easily $120,000 here in Australia. We're very lucky in that way. But the point is that more people are prioritizing a meaningful life than having millions, for example, where it's like, oh, I just want millions. It's like, well, why? Oh, because I think I'll have everything. And that goes back to what you said at the beginning. It's like, well, if I have millions, all right, then
I'm
I
still
will,
not happy.
it's going for the having first rather than the being. So we're seeing a shift in the meaning. And I think there's a psychologist, I think his name is Josh or John Vervanacki. I hope I haven't butchered that, but he does a lot of really good YouTube videos on the meaning crisis. So if you're into sort of studying psychology, that's a really interesting watch. It's not short, it's quite intense, but you probably get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
But just to kind of come around where we sort of started as well, we talked about, where has your 2022 gone? How has it gone for you? Doing that self-assessment, that reflection. Hopefully some of the things that we've talked about has sort of brought to the surface maybe where you can look in yourself, where you've done either really, really well, or maybe there's been some challenges and there's potentially some room for improvement. Maybe you've gotten really good results, but you might have noticed that, your team, there might be a bit of staff turnover, or they're not as loyal or as enthusiastic as you once have known them for. So I'd love to see if there's some self-reflection there that you can bring into the new year. And really, it really just comes about making that choice to consciously lead, making that choice to understand that leadership is a path of self-mastery, okay? And with any growth path, there are times when it actually feels like crap, it sucks. There are times you're gonna fail. Like as a parent, I say to myself, every day I get up and I'm a parent, I'm actually gonna fail. I know that at some point I'm gonna fail today, and make peace with that. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to keep putting that foot in front of the other. Wouldn't you agree, Alex? What's your take on that?
No, I love it. I think when I'm thinking just about how I'm moving forward, in life or with clients, is always the small step ahead. Something small, and not really creating attachments to everything needs to be perfect, because we know perfectionism and all this idea of having everything together, it's just not healthy, because that doesn't exist. And that's when we try to have control over everything, but we don't, because only control we have about is our behavior and ourselves. That means really just that's probably my way of seeing that, like really understand that I have responsibility and I have control about my behavior and myself. That means whatever I achieve is my responsibility. And I like that when you say small steps and moving forward, and really being aware of that, like what we have done, what we still didn't do, or what we forget to do, or maybe what we planned last year and we still didn't come to that, just to really bring awareness. Like maybe we overplan, I'm just saying, like maybe because sometimes we put more things on ourselves that we can handle, and after that it makes us feel guilty, or we create a negative feeling around it. But really understand how much we can achieve, just be a little bit more realistic in the amount of time we can put into things. I never say be realistic about your goals, think big, dream big. That's always my approach. But also don't get disappointed when that doesn't happen in 10 months or 5 months, but really work on that. Just work on that goal. Just move forward.
Absolutely. And like one thing that you touched on, like a lot of leaders that I've worked with, usually very conscientious people and very creative people, or very relatable people. The relatable types, they get off the hook. But the ones that are highly conscientious and highly creative are generally very optimistic and can be almost overextend what's actually achievable. Yeah. And one of the key complaints that I hear from a lot of leaders, and those of you listening out there might agree or might not, is they've learned, these I'm talking that the seasoned experienced leaders have shared with me that one of the key things that they learn, and this is obviously from speaking to a few people, is generally not to expect too much from their team, to understand that not everybody can achieve maybe what they believe it can be achieved. There's a reason maybe why you moved into a leadership position, and it might be because you're highly intelligent, highly creative, very, very conscientious. It might be those things, but to understand that your team might not have that same disposition psychologically, but they are still obviously an integral and valuable part to the team.
Yeah.
But definitely setting inspirational goals is a wonderful way to sort of like really get the energy of the team, like not just moving, right, but unified. You know,
Yeah.
everybody wants to win, right? We all want to win.
Yeah.
You know, we want to succeed and break new ground. But understanding that even if we shoot for the stars and we get to the moon, we didn't exactly have a bad year, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I love that because you said a few things that resonates, and that's basically what we try to go away from, is having the attachment to the goal so strongly that actually make us feel disappointed when we don't achieve it. I think that's the major distinction from perspective, to understand that goals are here for us to learn and go forward or move forward. That means the goals are really just for inspiration. And of course, I'm not talking about KPIs and all that stuff. I'm talking more about like what we really want to be, how we want to be as a team, how we want to, you know, collaborate. It's more about that inspiring. And plus, of course, we have KPIs. I'm not saying not, but we try to really show people how we can better to achieve KPIs, how we can better move forward with attitude, with unite, I don't know how we say that. You know, like being together, how we say that. I don't know in English. Anyway, basically how we can get there together, you know, and be really aligned with values, with beliefs, and having those great times, you know, while we are achieving the goals, because the journey is important. Not just hit the goal and after that be celebrating for 2 weeks or 1 week, and after that just, you know, get back to normal life. It's not the point. The point is the journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that means, yeah, I definitely like look, this conversation can go probably to, you know, so many areas of leadership, but when we stick with that, what we started on, and we say, you know, just try to really have that inspiring goal. What do you think is the one thing that hold people back? You know, like it's going to be January soon. Like what people should do, what do you think from your perspective?
Look, I think honestly, number one, there's a couple of things, but the first thing is be willing to grow. Be willing to actually understand that you have a set program, and the way that you think is probably quite habitual. Now, we call that the paradigm, okay? That's your habitual way of thinking, of what you expect, you know? And so if for you, you always play it small and you set goals of things, maybe, you know, we got A type, B type, and C type goals, and A type are goals that basically you've already achieved before. So if you've already, say, for example, I want to make, you know, 350K through new clients in the first quarter, and we've already done that. Well, that's not really an inspiring goal because we've already done that. B-type goal is a goal that you know how to achieve. Like I have a Pajero, I drive a Pajero, but if I'm like, well, my goal is to buy a Pajero, I'm like, well, I've already done that. I know how to do that. You know, I have a strategy for how I can save the money. It's obvious, right? That doesn't inspire me. But a C-type goal is a goal that stretches me. Okay, it's a goal that is inspirational. And for those of you who aren't aware, if you want to get into flow, and those who don't even know, flow is that concept where, you know, time almost slips away or it's concentrated, but it's almost like you're not even thinking, you're just being in that moment. And things are almost organized in a very graceful sense, much higher order state of thinking. And flow really is what we want to engage into. But if you want to create flow, you actually need to push yourself at least 5 to 10% out of your comfort level. All right, it has to be that way.
Yeah.
So when you set goals, they're at least 5 to 10% out of your conceivable reach. That is what's going to push you into flow and inspire your team to come with you. So that's the first thing, is like understanding that, you know, expand your way of thinking. Now, a lot of the time people can do this on their own, but a lot of the time they actually need some support. A selfish plug for Alex and I, that's the kind of work that we actually do with people, is we work with them over a period of time to upgrade the way that they're thinking, especially in that leadership capacity. But you want to take that way of thinking and actually formulate a strategy that you can then communicate to your team, all right, as a set of instructions, so that with absolute clarity, you have your objective, you have the key results, and you have the tactical steps and the KPIs that you need to hit, and what order and who's responsible for them. And you need to communicate this regularly. So when we communicate and talk about communication leadership, It's not just a once-off. We don't just talk about our values once a year. No, this needs to be something that's part of our conversation. We create a culture around our strategy. We create a culture around our values and our purpose and our vision. So really having a mechanism for that, and really making sure that there's awareness brought about that. And yes, I'm saying accountability, but I mean it in the most beautiful sense. You know, people do perform better when they know there's some accountability. This is not about whipping people for not doing what they've done right or wrong. This is about just helping other people take responsibility. And this is you building them into leaders, having a team of leaders rather than a team of just workers, for example, who want a set of instructions, you know, and there are many different ways about doing that. But so to summarize, expand your way of thinking and set big inspirational goals, and to take that goal and to set it into a quarterly strategy. Annual is too big. It's too big. But a quarterly strategy that's clear, concise, and transparent and communicated on a regular basis. Yeah. That's what's going to move the needle. That's what's going to make your 2023 your best year yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing that, Daniel. I think that's a great reminder of having that time of the year that we need to not only check where we are at, but also where we want to go. That means I will probably just add on that to having a planning system is very important, but planning system that works for you, because a lot of people try, you know, different business planning, personal growth planning, and they always fail because it just doesn't work for them. That means you can access a few different PDFs. We can give you some ideas how to do the planning, how to evaluate, you know, time wasters, distractions, how to move towards the goals, or a little bit of the key objectives and what Daniel will talk about, and really start to move forward. That means if you need any support, reach out. We are always happy to be here and talk to you about that. I think, you know, just having a free conversation, having a free chat, and it's going to just help you to maybe, you know, find out what is actually best for you, or how you want to start to think about your goals and your being, and how to move that or bring it into your team environment. Because I believe that's the hardest thing, because sometimes we can manage ourselves, we know how to do it, but we are not sure how to sell the idea to our team. Maybe just simplify that, you know, how to sell the idea, how to sell that this is great what I do, try it, you know, and really just start to inspire them to try new things as well. And if you would like to ask questions about this topic, please just also send us comments or emails. Yeah, and probably, yeah, if you are interested into any PDFs or any ideas, systems, please just let us know, and we will be always happy to serve and help you. Guys, if you want to check some free resources and the goal setting session, everything will be in the podcast description. That means you can choose, you can have a look, just go in a mini courses or download PDFs and enjoy all free stuff for your Christmas.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Alex. I appreciate your time and everything that you bring to the mentoring effect, and also the people that we get to work with. So thank you so much.